Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Slightly Warped Podcast. I'm Rick, joined as always by Big Show. What's up, man?
What up, homie?
Nothing new in my world.
It's been a
Just
few weeks.
yeah, we've been gone for a good minute, huh? Um, we're back though. We mean business,
We
and
are
today we are back in the true crime business.
bum bum bum.
We're
Trying
talking
to help
about
with the sound effects.
a one. Yeah, I like that. Keep that going. Talking about James Rydell Hoffa, aka Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy
Now,
Hoffa.
for those of you who are of a certain age, you know who Jimmy Hoffa is. But just a little background for the younger, more inexperienced people. This man was one of the most powerful Teamster presidents ever. He had his hand in a lot of stuff, and that may be why he's not around right now. Now, I don't know where he is. A lot of people don't know where he is. I understand Big Show might have a theory, and I
I
can't wait to
know.
hear this theory.
I know where he's at,
Okay.
but we'll get to that a little bit later.
All right. All right. Well, just a little bit of quick and dirty for everybody. He was born in 1930, but he disappeared in 1975. He was declared dead on July 30th, 1982. I guess it took him that long to give up the search. He was, like I said, an American labor union leader, and he was the president of the International Brotherhood of the Teamsters, the IBT, from 1957 all the way till 71. And I'll get to the reason why it stopped in 71 in a little bit. Uh, well, I guess I'm going to get to it now. He had alleged ties to organized crime. And again, he disappeared in 75 under quote unquote mysterious circumstances. Now, Jimmy, he was an activist, according to this, from a young age. I think by his mid 20s, he was involved with the IBT. By 1952, he was the national vice president. And between 57 and 71, like I said, he was the general president. He was involved with organized crime from the early years of his Teamsters work via a connection that continued until his disappearance. Now, when I say organized crime, he was convicted of jury tampering, attempted bribery, conspiracy, along with mail and wire fraud. Damn, he was in everything. In 1964 in two separate trials. And he was imprisoned from 67 and he was sentenced for 13 years, but he got out in 71. Um, now, show if I'm correct, when he got out, he made a deal, an agreement with Richard Nixon, and he was released later that year. He was barred from any union activities until 1980. That's what they laid down. They said, "All right, we'll let you out in 71. Here's the deal: you're not to have any activity with them at all." However, he was hoping to regain leadership because that power corrupts. He wanted some of that power. Um, I'm gonna get into that part here real quick. Um, how am I doing so far, show?
So far, you're on. But before you go on, I will say, you said allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I am a. I can't say I'm not an expert. You know, but I am a true crime aficionado.
Yes, you are.
Uh, One of my niches is the mafia,
Mm-hmm.
organized crime in America, and there's five families that are still. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but even they came out with the NBA scandal here in the last week that they're part of this. The same five families. But anyway, um, I'm going to take the alleged out. He
Okay.
was definitely involved um, with organized crime. And he was sentenced when? 1960 what?
62.
1962.
Yeah.
That's when he was convicted. When did he go in?
Let me see here. In May of 63, he was indicted for
Uh
jury
huh.
tampering in Tennessee. And he was charged with attempted bribery by a grand jury in 62 for his conspiracy in Nashville. And he was convicted on March 4th of 1964.
That's 13 years.
Yes,
Okay. And he got out in 71.
71. He made a
So he
deal with
did.
Richard Nixon, Richard Milhouse Nixon.
So he did half of his sentence, basically.
Yes,
Made a deal with the president,
yes. Now, it says the president. However, it could be some other members of the cabinet, people representing the president.
but they say Nixon, right?
Yes, it says Nixon.
So this is where my theory, if you're going to call it a theory.
Mm-hmm.
So he did half of his sentence,
Yes, sir.
and then made a deal. A known Was it a known deal that why he got out in 71? Was that like a known fact? He made a deal
You
with
know,
Nixon,
it doesn't say if it was a known deal. I'm assuming that it was because of the stipulations.
and the
I mean,
stipulations was he just couldn't do anything with the
yeah,
uh
he couldn't have
with the
any
union until
involvement with the
80.
IBT, right?
Okay, so it was a known fact. So let's pause that theory and let's go to any crime show that you ever watched, whether it
Hmm.
be The Godfather, um, Power's a big one. Anybody that goes to jail and gets out early, what are they labeled right away?
Rat.
Hmm. Continue.
I think I see where you're going with this. Okay. All right. I briefly want to touch on this. I'm going to jump back to 1960. President John F. Kennedy was elected. All right. His younger brother, Robert, was an attorney general, and he had been frustrated by earlier attempts to convict Hoffa. While working as counsel uh, to the McKellen's subcommittee as a general from 1961, Kennedy pursued a strong attack on organized crime, and he carried on with a so-called Get Hoffa, quotations, Get Hoffa squad of prosecutors and investigators. So they were after him as early as 1960, apparently. And during a court hearing on December 5th, 1962, a former mental patient, Warren Swanson, fired several pellets at Hoffa. The pellets did no harm, and the enraged Hoffa punched Swanson and knocked him down, while Charles Chucky O'Brien and others overpowered him. Hoffa later told reporters, "You always run away from a man with a knife and toward a man with a gun." That sounds like a man who's not afraid of anything.
That's even though I mean, that kids, that is a true statement in self defense. If somebody pulls a knife on you, run away. If somebody pulls a gun on you, run towards them as fast as you can. The quick draw, people don't quick draw. And the weapons that we have nowadays, it's hard to. I mean, that's beside the point. But from a self defense standpoint, that's actually good advice.
That is good advice. Now, like I mentioned
21
before,
feet. 21 feet. We'll go there, but 21 to 27 feet is what you need to close the distance on somebody that has a gun. Anything
wow,
further than that, you're dead.
wow, 21 feet sounds like a long distance to me, though.
You can move that 21 feet very fast going forward.
True.
Because when you run forward, what's the initial reaction of the person you're running at?
Well, they're going to be shocked,
But what are they?
surprised.
Where are they going?
They're going backwards, aren't they? Or are they coming?
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly. So they're going to go backwards. You're going to be going faster than they can step backwards. That's how you close the distance quicker.
I like
So
that line of thinking.
in gun safety, that's what they teach you. If your assailant is less than 21 feet, you're not going to have the time to pull your weapon and fire. So that's where you see a trained gunman make that distance longer so they can. So normally, if I'm pulling my gun, I'm backing up to pull it out. I'm not going towards you.
Look at this. Came here for a True Crime Thursday, got some gun education too.
I digress,
Now,
but go ahead. Yes, sir.
real quick, to the people that are listening that know us, I'm not trying to test that theory. So, if you strap, I believe you. I believe you. I don't want to test that theory. I'm
We're
pretty
on the
on your
same
side.
side.
That's right. Um, now going back to 63, when
Hmm.
Hoffa was indicted for the jury tampering and all that, he also had a $10,000 fine, which I don't know what that would equate to, in 2025 money, but I imagine that's pretty damn hefty.
19 what? 60?
63.
Was it $10,000 fine?
Yes.
Why are you doing that?
And
I'm gonna figure that out.
okay, now Hoffa did spend the next 3 years unsuccessfully appealing his 64 conviction. Appeals filed by the chief counsel, the defense attorney Morris Skinner, reached the U.S. Supreme Court, and he began serving the aggregate prison sentence of 13 years, 8 years for bribery, 5 years for fraud, on the 7th of March in 67 at the Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. That's interesting that it's in Pennsylvania, even though his convictions were in Tennessee. Wow. Okay. That's something I'm not
Wow.
familiar with. Why
It
that would
says
happen.
ten
Go ahead.
thousand dollars in 1965 is equivalent to the purchasing power of about $103,000 in 2025.
Yeah. No. Wow.
That's almost what that would be. What 103% increase,
Yes,
roughly.
sir. That's pretty big right there. Um, I ain't got that kind of bread, but that's why I
Shit,
talk
I ain't
true
even got
crime
bread.
instead of perform it. Right? Now,
I'll
when
gladly
Hoffa,
pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
that's so me. Now, when Hoffa entered prison, Frank Fitzsimmons was named the acting president of the union. And remember Fitzsimmons' name. I'll get to that in a second. Hoffa had planned for his possible conviction and intended to use Fitzsimmons as a figurehead through which he could remain in control. In other words, he already knew that there was a possibility he was going to go down. He was going to use Fitzsimmons so that he could still control everything from the inside. Um, now, Despite all this, Fitzsimmons soon distanced himself from Hoffa's influence and the control in 1967, and it was to Hoffa's displeasure. So Fitzsimmons, he was just like, you know what? I got the bag now, so I'm gonna go ahead and take control. I'm not nobody's figurehead. I'm doing this. Now, Fitzsimmons also decentralized power somewhat within the IBT's administration structure, foregoing much of the control Hoffa took advantage of as union president. While still in prison, Hoffa resigned as Teamsters president in June of 1971, and Fitzsimmons was elected the Teamsters president on July 9th, 1971. Now, I'm pretty sure all this had Hoffa practically stewing while this was going on. Uh, In December of 71, though, less than 5 years into his sentence, Hoffa was released, like I said, from prison. And it says when U.S. President Richard Nixon commuted it to time served. And as a result of Hoffa's previous resignation, he was awarded a $1.75 million lump sum termination benefit by the Teamsters, uh, retirement and family protection plan. Now, bro spent time in jail, paid a $10,000 fine, comes out, gets 1.75 mil, and we already said 10,000 was equal to 100,000. So what do you think 1.75 million is equal to? Wow. I mean, he was losing, but he was winning. Wink, wink. Um,
So, what do you think he really got that money for?
Hush money. Get away. Take this money. Don't
Hush
come
money
back.
from who?
Well, it says the
Why would the
IBT
why would the
fund.
government or IBT fund want him to be hushed?
They whatever was going on. There's two schools of thought on this. The first one is, hey, here's your pension. Go away quietly. Don't make any more trouble. We don't want you around.
So who is saying that?
The IBT would be saying that because they
Okay,
gave them
but
the money.
why? But why would they be saying that?
And here's the two schools of thought. One, we know you had organized crime ties, and we don't want that stain to come back on us. We're trying to clear that. Or two, if there was still crime controlling the Teamsters, they gave him the money so that he would walk away so that they can continue to do what they did without his influence.
Okay, put a pin in that.
Okay.
I'm gonna speed it up all the way to last week. If
Okay.
organized crime
Mm-hmm.
can have their hands so deep into NBA basketball games,
Yes, sir.
what makes you think that they still don't have their hand in the union?
I don't. That I'm
Okay,
just giving you both
so
sides, both
no,
schools
I
of thought.
get it. So that theory of IBT wanting him to go away because he had known ties, they were still going to be there whether he was there or not.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was them saving face, if that makes sense. Because that's kind of how I took what you were saying, was that here's this money. Shut up, get the hell out of here. We don't want to be associated with you and being parts of the criminal thing, right?
Right.
Or am I reading that wrong?
No, you're reading it right. 'Cause here's
Okay.
my thing. I see where you're going, and my logic is they would, the Teamsters would say that on the outside to, make it appear that, hey, we're wholesome. We don't need that. Even if that is going on, they're not going to, admit that. So,
Here's my theory about the money.
mhm.
He was given the money to be a songbird. Because now let's look at when Rico was invented.
What year was that?
I want to look it up.
Yeah. Because, yeah, Rico's a hell of a thing, people.
Because RICO is what? Racketeering something criminal organization.
Yes.
That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
Where you can only think about, talk about, you could be convicted. I'm talking to you about doing a crime. We could theoretically, if we have a big organization, could be, um, prosecuted under the
Yes.
RICO statute.
As a matter of fact, for people out there that have heard this term recently, if I'm correct, they were going to try to use that during the Diddy trial, if I'm correct.
Correct. That is correct.
And
So
how
my
that may.
theory is this.
Mhm.
Obviously, even though it's all allegedly and there's no way to prove it because you said what 1982 they basically said he was dead. 81 they
Yeah.
just confirmed he was gone. Okay, no, nobody, no, as far as I know. I mean, maybe there's been a few, but no actual person, especially in the limelight, has ever disappeared off the face of the earth without ever being found. Ever. Not a piece of him, nothing. Except for Jimmy Hoffa.
Yes.
There might be, I mean, even when we did, it's probably last year, maybe year before last, when we did Amelia Earhart,
Yes.
her body was never found. And then I think it was even 2 or 3 months after our thing, they found her plane.
Yeah. Some wreckage somewhere.
Right. So evidence of her demise has been found, is where I'm going. There's never been any record except the fact that he just disappeared, poof, like fart in the wind. He's just gone.
I mean,
Now,
out of all our true crimes, the only one that comes close to this was DB Cooper. And that's
But
because
even
nobody knew
his
who he was.
correct, but even remnants of his demise was found. They found the
Yeah.
backpack, they found the money. There's demise that something happened to him. This is the general vicinity where it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. There all we know is this dude was here one day on a Monday, he was gone on a Tuesday and hasn't been seen since. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, Elvis died in 19 whatever and people still see his ass walking down the street.
That is so true. But
Nobody has
speak
ever seen Jimmy Hoffa walking into a quick trip.
right
But what I
now.
was
Now,
going to say is I've read a
mhm.
lot of. Okay, go ahead because I was going to give my theory what happened to him, but go ahead. I'll let you.
I'm just
I'll
getting ready to
let you
wrap up.
steer me when that happens.
I'm just getting ready to wrap up the disappearance and then let you take over. Uh,
Okay.
just to let everybody know, it was Wednesday, July 30th, 1975. He went to a meeting with I can't pronounce this person's name, Provenzano and Giacalone. Um, and the meeting was to take place. I see what you did there without doing it. The meeting was to take place at 2 p.m. at the Marcus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township in Detroit. And it's a Detroit suburb. It was the same place where the wedding reception of Hoffa's son, James, had just been held. Hoffa wrote Giacalone's initials and the time and location of the meeting in his office calendar. So that's how people knew where he was headed. And apparently, he had went there and was stood up, and people saw reports of him standing out by his car. And it says here that there was even someone who had came to say hello, shook his hand, and whatever, what have you. But his wife called the son the next day and said, "Hey, we haven't seen your dad. He's been gone all night." So outside that restaurant, a witness reported seeing him in the back of a maroon Lincoln or Mercury with three other people. So we don't know who he met up with, when would they met up with them, but we know he was there at that location or near it. And that was, like you said, the last time anybody had seen a sighting of Jimmy Hoffa.
Okay,
So
so name the two people that he was allegedly going to meet at this place again.
their last names were Gia Cologne and Provenzano,
What's his first
Provenzano.
name?
Uh,
Anthony, correct?
I don't see it here. Yes, Anthony. Yes.
Anthony Provenzano. In all the mob world, he was known as Tony Pro. He worked for the Genovese crime family, one of the five major families.
Mm,
So that right there, showing that he had a meeting with Tony Pro, who's a big time hitman for the Genovese crime family. That kind of leads you to believe that. Um, I mean, that's where the allegedly of him dealing with the crime family for me goes
mhm.
out the window because obviously you have dealings with him.
Yes.
So I like I said, I read a lot of crime stuff. That's kind of my niche. I kind of like that stuff. Um, my theory is, and this has been said in a few books by different people, is that he was taken out by the mob. But the reason why he wasn't found is what the mob used to do when they didn't want somebody found
Hmm.
was they would, what no matter what they did. So like sometimes when they did a hit, they wanted people to know, and it would be a message. Like
Yes.
they would take your tongue out and put it on your chest. That means you talk too much. You're a rat. They would do other things like they would shove credit cards or things like that up the bum hole of the victim, and that basically means you're a greedy bastard. So those were some of the things that they did when they just wanted you to disappear, and what they would do is they would kill you and they would put you in a car. Okay, they would have that car crushed and compacted, and they would sell that overseas where it would be melted down and made into more cars. So the running joke
Hmm.
in the mob circles was he's part of a, Toyota something somewhere,
Wow.
overseas, and he's part of somebody's vehicle. And that's why he's never been found.
So what you're
There was
telling me is somewhere somebody out there is driving a Corolla and it could have remnants of Jimmy Hoffa.
For sure, amongst other people that aren't, popular, that just owed the mob money or whatever. Like one of the first person I heard that from was the reading about the history of Richard Kuklinski, and I think we talked about him, the Iceman, in one of our deals. But he actually did hits with Tony Pro, so that's kind of when I chuckled when you said his name. It drew, you know, uh, connecting dots for me on that
I'm glad you
aspect.
caught
But
that because I did butcher that name. So
yeah, and he's was the first one that said it, and then I read it in a couple other ones where they basically said, yeah, he's part of some foreign car overseas somewhere.
interesting. So that then is your theory. You don't subscribe to the he's under Giant Stadium, which is the most
Nah,
popular one.
nah.
And
Like
I believe they debunked that a long time ago too, didn't they?
when was Giant Stadium built?
Oh, I don't know when the New Jersey Meadowlands even. Well, I'm
I
talk
mean, they
amongst
have a
yourselves. I'm
new
gonna look that
stadium.
one
They
up.
have a new stadium now, but I
I know,
know
but the New Jersey
the old ones.
Meadowlands.
I think it was the Meadowlands. I mean, it would have to have been in 1970, whenever he disappeared, for that to be a theory that makes sense. I mean, I know what's his name used to do all the criminal.
Mhm.
Geraldo tried to find him in a tomb.
Old
You know
Giant
where that?
Stadium was built in 1976.
Yeah, so there's no way he would have been there. He disappeared in what, 73, 71, 72? When was it? 73,
He disappeared on Wednesday, July 30th, 1975.
75. Okay.
Yeah. So
I
you can
mean,
assume that they've already broken ground on the stadium because if the stadium opened in 76, there had to be construction in 75.
but that stadium has since been knocked down, right?
Yeah, it's been excavated and everything.
Don't you think they'd have found a skeleton?
You would think. And here's my thing. What are people commonly in the movies buried in? Cement, right?
Right.
What happens to a body once it dies?
It supposedly decomposes.
But it also bloats because of gases.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
If you have air bubbles in cement, it's going to eventually crumble or something's going to go wrong with it, no matter how deep the
Crack.
cement is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have machines that can, like, for lack of a better word, look into how deep something is and see if there's something in air pockets
Mm-hmm.
or things like that. So I think that although that's a popular theory, what do they call those? Not wives' tales, but folklore. Folklore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. It's just something
Yeah.
somebody said to to just get a rise out of someone else. Hey, you don't mess with me because we'll bury you under Giant Stadium like we did Hoffa. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, this isn't obviously, but it's kind of like the myth or the legend that, there's a Chiefs flag buried under the Raiders stadium now. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't necessarily
almost
think that.
almost a legend, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just somebody that said they did it. I don't think they actually did it. But I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? But on that aspect, I'm just saying the same
Yeah,
principle,
right.
because that's a big thing between Chiefs and Raiders fans. That's why they say the Raiders are cursed when they play us there or whatever. But I don't subscribe into that. I do think though.
Raiders are
My
cursed because
theory
they
is,
had bad ownership, but that's a whole nother show.
I do think that theory is that he was basically melted down and with the metal and plastic and created into another car.
And you know what though? I like your theory best because think about how hot you have to get metal in order to melt it down.
Hmm.
Because you have to get it hot enough to separate all of the quote unquote impurities. Because when a car is crushed, you have glass, you have plastic, and you have several different types of metal. They
Hmm.
have to separate those impurities in order to create new metal.
And
It's
they
not
don't
like,
just drop, and they just don't drop the cubes of these cars into a hot lava bowl and let it melt down like we do a stick of butter. You
yeah,
know, they're gonna throw it into a grinder first or a shredder that's gonna even take it down even further, and they're gonna take the little pieces of that. So that's the bones have been through this shredder, everything. So every pulverized, and yeah,
yeah.
he's definitely part of somebody's Camry.
And I know somebody would be like, well, what about the blood? At that high of a temperature, there'll be no more blood. That's just going to dissipate.
And by the
Uh,
time that happens, he'll by the time he gets put in a car, crushed, I mean, he's going to be dead a while. Like the blood's going to
yeah.
be congealed, and it's not going to be
Oh,
like
yeah. No, no,
fresh
no.
red. It's going to be like jelly.
Yeah. So, uh, and the other reason why I like your theory, not just because there's no trace, once it's gone off to a foreign country,
Gone.
yeah, exactly. That I hate to speak ill of the dead, no matter what, but damn, that's cold, that's brutal, but that's also genius,
I
for
mean, but
lack of
it's
a
it's
better word.
also kind of like with the Hitman, Iceman. And I'm pretty sure we've done his show, but if not, that's one that we need to
I
talk
was going to
about.
say, I'll look back on that.
But
If
you
we haven't,
know,
we will.
he was known, and granted, they say that he stretched the truth because he's supposedly killed over three, four, 500 people in his 25 years of working for the mob. But you know, when they were told just your body, he would throw them down these mine shafts in Pennsylvania. You know, and these mine shafts are thousands of feet deep. You know, nobody's going to run into it because nobody's going down there. You know,
Right.
that it's possible he could be down in one of those mine shafts too.
Oh, yeah. And that depth, you're right. It would be a while before somebody found. Eventually, he would be found.
You
But
would
by
think,
that time, anybody that's connected to him is already gone too.
and not even that. I mean, but you got predators are going to feed off the carcass, move the bones. I mean, you never know where these things are going to be at.
That's true. All right. Before we close it out, you guys like, share, subscribe, and jump in the comments. Let us know what your theory is on Jimmy Hoffa. Do you think that you were driving with Jimmy at one point, or do you think that he's somewhere else completely that we haven't even thought of?
I
Jump in those
definitely
comments.
don't
Let us know.
think anybody in America has that car. I believe he was shipped overseas, and he's a part of somebody's car overseas
Well,
somewhere.
like you said,
Japan, China, somewhere. No, no.
if it's melted down, it's part of several cars. You got to
Yeah,
think.
for
So
sure.
yeah, and Jimmy might have been in a lot of cars,
Hell, we might have a piece of him in our headphones right there.
right?
You might
He's
have
with us
Jimmy in
wherever we
yours. I've
go.
got Hoffa in mine.
All right, guys, let us know what you think. And I am going to look into the Iceman because I know we've touched on it, but I don't believe we've done a full episode. So I'm gonna keep that in the back of my head. And if not, we might go in that direction on our next true crime podcast.
Yeah, he's a very intriguing fella.
And also, next week for you guys, we will get back to NFL. Uh, not do anything with that right now because like it's been a long stressful week for myself, so I have had no time to even pay attention. I don't even think I watched but like half a game this past weekend. The Steelers were wearing their bumblebee outfits.
Yeah,
Somebody said Aaron Rodgers looked like Charlie Brown in his.
for
They're not
sure.
wrong. That game, they they deserve to get their butts whooped wearing them jerseys. um But I promise you guys, we'll be back to the NFL picks next week. If you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, drop a comment on that as well. Show
But on the
the guy.
on the NFL picks,
Mm-hmm.
just so the audience knows, me and Rich, we've been keeping in touch text wise. We are been a perfect 100% the last 3 weeks. So we are on a roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. What he said. No takebacks.
That's right. Standing on business, 10 toes down.
All right, show. Take us on out of here.
I appreciate you guys for watching. Sorry we're gone so long, and hopefully we won't have a big gap like we did. But thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Love each other. Tomorrow's not promised. Peace and chicken grease.
You guys take care.